I created several new of the nicotine effects fact sheets. Again, I just to refresh, these are things that I am creating using AI, asking very neutral questions. Very specifically, the kind of question I'm asking is nicotine associated with these different conditions and these different problems? And if so, uh, make a detailed reference sheet with established studies that show how nicotine can either cause certain problems or aggravate certain problems that people already have. And it then generates the sheets. I sometimes tweak it a little when I realize they've left out an issue which I know is important. And I say, and I tell it, are you considering this specific issue? And when I do, it's usually says, yes, you're right, this should be included. And it incorporates it in with footnoted studies. Now, someone made a comment yesterday, and I'm aware of this, that hey, you have to be careful because sometimes AI generates references that aren't right, that aren't accurate. And I know that can happen. It's one of the reasons I'm trying to stay as neutral as I can, so I'm not causing it, I'm not triggering it to try to find something that may not be real and coming up with some sort of resource, which is incredible. And it's sure it could still happen. If it does, if somebody sees something like that, let me know. I will correct it. I will make a note that I added that correction, that it had been wrong in the first place. But I just want people to know that I am totally open because, yeah, I'm not going through and checking all these resources. I'm trusting that the majority of them are good. And again, if anyone feels that they're not, prove it otherwise, and I will make those corrections. And I'm not saying prove it like, I don't believe you, prove it to me. I just, want that input, and I can do a little more research on it if someone says this resource doesn't exist. So that's one thing I wanted to comment on. Another comment I got yesterday was, oh my gosh, if people read these lists, they're going to just go back to smoking. And, I can't help if people are going to go back to another form of nicotine usage. I am producing this material because people are going back and forth between, they find out that smoking is bad, so they take up vaping, and then they find out vaping is bad, and then they have to, go find their next source, and then they find out that source is bad. It's worked its way up to the pouches, and now what are they going to do? The answer isn't going backwards to something that they know is dangerous. The answer is just stop delivering nicotine. But also, I want everyone to keep in mind, I'm doing these pages for two reasons. One is I'm trying to help people, again, who are trying to break free of nicotine. They're sick and tired of all the ways that nicotine has been making them sick and tired. But the other reason I'm making it, and again, it was the original reason and probably the more important one, I'm trying to help young people to understand these dangers before they ever take it up. Sure, I could produce no materials like this, so we don't, discourage people who are using a product which is ineffective to quit their other product and give them risks. I could avoid that, so they won't make that mistake. But in doing so, I'm leaving open the idea that, okay, let's just hook the next generation and worry about them later. And no, I don't see that as a viable option. So again, if anybody sees something wrong in these AI generated sheets, because AI is producing most of the information. If anyone sees a problem with any of that information, not general, oh, AI can't do this. No, I'm not going with that. But I will go if you find something that AI generated that was wrong, and I will fix those. So that's all that this one is. Again, people don't need nicotine to get off nicotine. People who use nicotine for whatever reason are damaging themselves with that nicotine. And these sheets are giving you details of all the different types of damage nicotine can do from any form. The way to avoid all of it is to simply make and stick to a personal commitment to never administer nicotine from any source.